This is Denise Mathew, and today I'm just going to do like a metal hair barrette. I'm working with a 10 gauge wire. It's a little bit difficult to work with, so my suggestion would be to use either a 12 or a 14. I've wrapped my pliers so that it's not going to damage, because it will make marks on my wire if I don't. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll in the top, and you can notice that there's a bit of an effort to get it to move, but that's what I do. And now that that's rolled in, I'm just going to use I'm just going to work right off the spool, and I'm just going to use a round container just to use it as a template. So I'm just going to wrap that around. Okay, so you can just wrap it around and then just keep going right around until you have about enough to make a curl that would be similar to that. So now you're just going to cut it, and then after that just remove it. Use my pliers again to make another. And the design I'm making today, it's going to be about a 2.5 inch circle. So if you want a bigger one, you could use a bigger container and more wire. Now that that's done, I'm just going to bring this up and bring it into the center like this. Okay? And so I'm just keeping that circle. So that's what you would have so far. And then after that, I'm just going to take my pliers and then just roll it in on the end. Okay? Like that. And then you would have that. Alright, and then if there's two ways to do this, and I think the best way to do it is just to hammer it right now and then to attach it, because you can end up damaging the crystal you're going to attach. I'm going to attach this little snowflake crystal, so it's better off to hammer it now. That way the crystal stays intact, and then you can attach the crystal. So I'm just going to hammer this out. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to flatten it with the flat side of my hammer, then I'm going to turn it around and use a ball peen part of my hammer just to texturize it, okay? So now that that's done, I'm going to add a small crystal to it. Now you can add any kind of a bead you want, or if you don't want a bead at all, you can just wire it together. And the only reason why I'm wiring it together is that if you're going to be putting in your hair, you don't want it to spread. I'm working with about a 22 gauge wire, and I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to attach it to the end right there and just wrap it about 3 times. Okay. Now that that's wrapped 3 times, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it underneath the loop right here, okay, this part, and then just bring it up to the center, and then I'm just going to start to thread it through and just put it around the top wire. In the beginning you might notice that it's going to slip around a little bit, but that's okay, just it will eventually stabilize. So just one, and then just do another one like that. Okay, and now that's what you would have. And then you're going to go back under again, just like the same way, and go to the lower one, and then just do it around 2 times. And you can do as much or as little as you like of this. I mean, this is just really mainly a design part. That's what you would have, and you can always push those together. You can use your pliers or your fingers. And again, I'm just going to go right under again and then go up to the top. Okay, so this will stabilize that circle a little bit more. Like I said, it's quite stiff already, but it's just that added little stabilization. So now that I do it one more time on the 2 top ones, and then I'm just going to go right underneath, and at this point I'm just going to add my bead. Okay, now I'm just adding this snowflake bead, but like you can add whatever you like, whatever you want to use. So now that that's on there, I'm just going to add that on. And then I'm just going to wrap it around the bottom a few times, same way. And then what I can do is I can just continue to wrap it a few more times and just until I have no more wire. Or if you have more and you want to do it a little bit more, you could just do a couple more wraps between the two. But I'm just going to leave it like that. And then, now if you prefer to have the snowflake higher, you could add it on the wire on the top if you prefer. Okay? And just finish wrapping it. And that's what you would have. Last thing you want to do is just take your wire and measure about 4 inches. Actually a little bit more than 4 inches because I'm going to do a curl on it. So you're going to do your curl and then measure 4 inches. So I'm just going to do a little curl on the end. And this is going to be the stick that goes through. Okay. And then just do a little bit of a bend. So it's almost like a little bit of a shepherd hooks. Now you can do it more if you like that. Okay. And then just measure down 4 inches. I'm going to eyeball it, but again, you can measure it if you prefer. Cut it. Now always remember to file these ends because if you notice it's quite sharp. Okay. I texturized it and it's wire hardened so that it will be nice and stiff. And so now this would be something that you would just put right through and then you could put it in your hair. Okay? And again, you can make it smaller or larger according to your preferences. This one I want to do is just a very simple one. I'm just going to take the same wire again. I'm just going to start to roll it in, and I'm just going to do a little bit of a longer scroll on this. And basically you're just doing a bit of a scroll, and it's a very simple design. So just do a rough scroll and then keep pulling, and just cut your wire because you want them sort of to be about the same. Again, you can measure this and know exactly how much you want to do on each side. And now I'm just going to go on the other side and I'm just going to start rolling in. And again, this is just rough in the beginning, and then eventually you're going to hammer it out and you're going to decide exactly how everything looks. Okay, so this is what you would have so far. Like that. Okay, and then just hammer it out. But you have it hammered out, you can still go back in, still sort of adjust it accordingly. The one thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you have enough space here to put your stick through, and I'll show you how that works in a minute. Alright, so this is what you would have. So now you would have the stick. But what I've noticed is that to wear it in your hair, the nice thing to do with this is to, you could wear this maybe in a sweater if you wanted to have it for like a shawl pin or something like that. Again, the other one could be used as a shawl pin. Or, like I said, if you want to use it for your hair, you would just bend it a little bit like this. You want to make a little bit of a curve because you're going to want it to go around sort of your hair like that. And I find that if you bend it and then put your stick through, it's going to really be much easier to use, and it's going to just stay in place better. The other option you can do is to just have a pre-made circle and then just make one of these kind of sticks, and then you could just do something very simple like that. I would get a bigger circle. This is just what I have on hand. And I do have a video on how to solder circles and so forth, so I'll put a link to that, so if you want to check that out, you can go ahead. So this concludes the tutorial. Hope you liked it. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. We'll see you next time. Thanks for coming. Bye for now.